to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
That's the
X-Men theme song, yeah.
Yeah.
The animated series. Well,
Yeah.
today we're doing Uncanny X-Men issue 194 from 1985.
Yeah.
I like
what
this,
a time to be alive.
I like this era of the X-Men. I started reading it with issue 207, and then I quickly went back and bought all the back issues I could find. So
these are all recent ones.
Yeah, all these issues remind me of my childhood, and I love it.
There's some good stuff here. There's some less good stuff here. Like the whole, let's fight a weird magic wizard guy. It's like, I don't know.
Well,
what to do without those.
That was weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. What was that guy's name? I don't know. But this wizard took over New York City.
Maybe or something like Garth, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, and Spider-Man was involved. That was a few issues before this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, before we get started on this X-Men, let's remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're up to 184 subscribers. I think we picked up one from last week.
One a week now, yeah. Not exactly, sprinting towards the finish line.
I think we were at 185, and then someone came to their senses.
Ooh.
And now we're down to 184. But yeah, Power Girl's not doing well. Not doing well.
I saw that, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes we do these random characters and they take off, but sometimes no.
Yeah, not so much.
Not at all.
So we're going back to the well with the X-Men because they usually perform gangbusters for us. So we'll see what happens.
Hey.
But all right, so Uncanny X-Men issue 194. The writer here, of course, is Chris Claremont, and the artist is John Romita Jr.
Many issues straight.
Yeah, as we've talked about Claremont many times on here, but yeah, he is the X-Men, and everything you like about the X-Men, it's pretty much because of Chris Claremont. And the artist, John Romita Jr., this is kind of in the middle of his run, and he started with issue 175 in 1983. Mm-hmm. Actually, the first X-Men book he did was X-Men Annual 4 in 1980, and then he became the regular 175. And when I got 207, my first issue, that was Wolverine dragging the claws down the front of the cover. That was a classic John Romita. And then he did up to 211. And then after that, they had a bunch of fill-in artists for a few issues.
Yeah, Barry Windsor Smith did a couple. There was some randos. Yeah,
I remember Brett Blevins did. I think Alan Davis maybe did one or two. But then Mark Silvestri came in as the new
Mark Silvestri.
Yeah,
it's pretty solid.
Love Mark Silvestri too. But what a run Romita had here, though.
And then he came back to Uncanny X-Men kind of later on, around like 300-ish.
He only did a hand.
That stuff I didn't like as much. Like, I like this version of the X-Men that he did much better.
I agree.
Whereas I kind of have the opposite feeling of Spider-Man. Like, his 80s Spider-Man was good. It's not the best, but like his 90s Spider-Man, I really like.
Yeah, he came back issue 287, and then 300 to 302, 304, 306 to 311.
Yeah.
So 92 to 1994.
Joe Mad started.
After he left this first run on X-Men, I believe he went to Daredevil then. With
Yep. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
He did that Man Without Fear limited series with Frank Miller.
Yep.
A lot of Daredevil.
He's a great artist, and I love his run here on X-Men. So this story, the reason I picked this one is because it's got Juggernaut.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the classic Juggernaut tale.
It's
kind of
great.
Tangentially.
I love it.
He's trying to go to the bank.
Yes, Juggernaut is going to the bank. Why do you think he's at the bank? He wants to get a loan? Is that what's happening here? He's at the bank.
Yeah.
Taking care of some
business.
business.
He wants to open up like his own ice cream truck. And maybe just needs a small business loan.
Maybe they're giving away free toasters for a checking account.
Yeah. One of those football-shaped phones. He really wants it.
Yeah, that's what Juggernaut's doing here in this issue. And this issue also has Nimrod in it. So, Nimrod. This is not his first appearance. A couple issues earlier, he popped up. They introduced him. But this is his first main real appearance, I would say. All right, so
that story got weird. Like, he's like a robot from the future, but he decided to work as like a construction guy for a little while.
Yeah, we'll get into that. we'll get into that. But let's talk some Juggernaut here. His real name's Cain Marko, and his first appearance was X-Men issue 12, 1965, created by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Alex Toth. So yeah, Alex Toth has
him in there.
And he and Charles Xavier are stepbrothers.
That's right.
Will Ferrell and that other guy.
We just become best friends.
They were not best friends.
No, not so much. It was more like the first part of Step Brothers, where they just hated each other.
So, Cain Marko there, his dad married Xavier's mom.
Yep.
And Marko's dad was also, like, partners with Xavier's dad.
Yeah, they both, I think, worked at, like, Los Alamos, kind of doing nuclear testing and stuff like that, which kind of, I think, may have caused Professor Xavier's mutation.
Oh, there you go, yeah. And his dad died, and there is some talk. Was it ever proven that maybe Marko's dad had a hand in it?
I don't know if it was ever proven. I certainly wouldn't put it past him. He seems like a shady guy.
Yeah, because little Cain brings it up.
Swooped in real quick to get that Mrs. Xavier.
Because the Xaviers had money, and he moved. The Markos moved in, or whatever. They moved in with the Xaviers in their mansion, and he was little Cain Marko there was a bully to Charles. You know?
Yeah, because his dad was a complete asshole. Like pretty much all his life, his dad had been abusive, and then once he became Charles Xavier's stepfather, he was like, "Hey, this kid's great. Why aren't you more like this kid?" So Cain Marko did not take that well.
Yeah, and I guess at one point he little Juggernaut there, he made a reference that his dad was responsible for killing Xavier's dad, or somehow. So then that he got romantic, he started smacking around Cain Marko, and that just made Marko hate Charles even more.
Yep.
Yep. And I don't know.
Breeding rivalry between these kids.
I went back and I looked at that issue 12, their first issue, and they're telling this whole story, and then they show like Charles Xavier's like thriving in high school, and he's an athlete, he's on the track team and all,
Still got his hair.
Well, no, at that point he didn't, which was weird. Like when he was a kid, he had the hair, and then by the time he's winning those races in high school, he's bald. And I'm like, well, they never even mentioned why he was bald. He's just bald.
I guess it's his powers. Like somehow he can't also have hair.
His brain is too
brain powers. Yeah. I don't know why Jean Grey gets to keep hers. but
so anyway, then Cain Marko and Charles Xavier, they end up serving in the same army unit in the Korean War.
Yeah. They don't care about your rivalries. The draft takes everyone.
What are the odds? So, they're in Korea. They come under fire, and Cain Marko, he deserts the unit. He turns yellow, and he runs off, and he comes upon a cave, some mysterious cave there in Korea. Yeah. And what was it called? The the name of this Temple of Sidorak, right?
Yes, Sidorak. Yeah.
And what did he do, Jack? He touched a mystical ruby, right?
Yep. There's a giant gem there. He's like, "Hey, this looks great. I'm going to take it." And he touched it and became the Juggernaut. He had this giant set of armor. He got a lot bigger and stronger than he was before. He was already pretty jacked, but now he's like,
he's huge now.
Yeah.
And there's some sort of like inscription on the ruby, like whoever touches this gets the power of the Juggernaut or something.
Yeah, that's right.
So so has the Juggernaut. He's just invulnerable. He's unstoppable. He's just can't hurt him.
Yeah, he kind of, from time to time, it varies, I feel like, because sometimes they're like, oh, he's got like a force field around him, too, that won't let you touch him, but yet they always seem to be able to get his helmet off, so clearly it's not preventing them from getting that off.
Yeah, it might be like a skin-tight force field. I don't know how they, but I've also seen.
I know Shatterstar at one point stuck a sword in his eye. Yeah.
So the whole force field thing I'm not sure about.
I don't know.
But the only way the X-Men ever beat him is because he's vulnerable to psionic attacks or like brainwaves. So, but that's why he worked
that helmet off because the helmet blocks his brain.
Yeah, so they always have to, like in the first story where he fought the Juggernaut, the Human Torch actually came in and he melted the bolts on the helmet. And then I think Angel flew down, ripped off the helmet, and then Xavier.
Oh, Angel actually did something for him. Good for him.
That's how they got him. But yeah, every time the X-Men face the Juggernaut, it's always a race to get that helmet off. We got to get that helmet off, and then we can win. But otherwise, we're screwed. So
yeah, or you do like what Spider-Man did, like lure him into a construction site where they're pouring a giant cement foundation and just let him sink. And then
yeah, he eventually gets out because he's the Juggernaut. But it takes a while, you know.
Yep, sure does.
Yeah, he's pretty great, the Juggernaut. Now, in later years, does like Colossus become the Juggernaut or something?
Yeah, like Juggernaut goes through all kinds of things. In the 90s, at one point, when Marvel bought out Malibu Comics, there was, I don't know if there was an existing comic called The Exiles, but then there was this all new Exiles book that basically they brought over 3 characters from the regular Marvel universe into the Malibu universe, one of which was Juggernaut, and he was like kind of leading this team of superheroes over there.
Wow, that's weird.
Didn't last very long, but like, then he came back and, he was basically beat up. Like you see him, he's been knocked from like New Jersey to New York or something like that. And you're like, oh, something big and powerful must have hit this guy if he could knock him that far. He's a Juggernaut. And he's like Onslaught. So that was kind of the first hint that Onslaught was coming. And, he eventually works with Jean Grey to figure out who Onslaught is. And, you know, Onslaught turned out to be Professor Xavier. So that's why he was going at Juggernaut, I guess. But then eventually, like in the 2000s, the Juggernaut kind of reformed. Like he was like, hey, Charles, I'm going to put aside our differences and I'm going to be a good guy now. I think he stood trial. I think She-Hulk like was his attorney, and I think he ended up having sex with She-Hulk as well.
Yeah.
She was like, I like the cut ear jib. And so then he joined the X-Men for a while, and I guess basically because he was being good and not, you know, causing destruction, Sidorak, the being inside of the gem, was not happy, so that's how they kind of nerfed him so he could be a hero. Because it's like, if your guy is this invulnerable, it's hard to have him be the hero of a book because, you know, what's going to stop him? Superman. So they had to kind of make him less, exactly.
That's why I hate
make
Superman.
him less strong. So they kind of had like, you know, he only had half of his power or something like that. So they kind of nerfed him a little bit. And then during this one event called Fear Itself, where I think it was like Thor's uncle, like rained down a bunch of hammers, like enchanted hammers. Yeah, his ne'er-do-well uncle came back and was like, I'm going to bestow Earth with a bunch of other, you know, mystical hammers, kind of like Thor's, that will give the user, you know, extreme power. And, like, I think it was either 7 or 9, something like that. But, Juggernaut ended up with one of them. And so he became this super, you know, special, super powerful version of the Juggernaut. And, I guess Sidorak didn't like that. So Colossus, to defeat this new Juggernaut, had to make a deal with Sidorak, like, hey, I'll be your new Juggernaut if you, you know, you give me the power instead of him. And, Sidorak's like, okay, cool. And so he abandoned the Juggernaut, Cain Marko, and he became Colossus for a little bit. And it didn't last a whole, you know, very long, I would say, before he was done with that. And then Cain Marko got it back again.
I like how, you know, they got those powers back in the Korean War. Yeah, 2024, they're still going strong. You know, they just...
Yep.
Do they just keep updating the war? Like, oh, it happened in Iraq. He found that.
Yeah. I don't know how they do that with, like, Magneto. Like, Magneto's got to be, like, unable to move by now. He's so old.
But, yeah, I love the Juggernaut, and he's one of my favorites. Hey, remember in the movie, who'd they have Vinnie Jones playing him in the movie? Is that guy?
That's right. Where we get the famous, I'm Juggernaut, bitch. They stole from that YouTube video.
Do you have any favorite Juggernauts issues that come to mind? Like, is that Spider-Man one your favorite?
That Spider-Man one's great. I remember there was he fought Spider-Man later in the 90s where, again, it was a John Romita Jr. book. I remember just liking the look of it. I don't remember the story being anything spectacular, but I liked the way he drew him in that one. The Onslaught stuff was pretty good because of Joe Madureira, who I love. He does a good Juggernaut, so I like that. And then probably that one we talked about, I don't know if it was on the show last week or not, but we talked about the one where Colossus runs into him at a bar and they get into like a bar fight. That's one that I always remember very fondly.
And that fight ended up saving Juggernaut's life because Selene, the Black Queen, was there, and she was about to pick him up and sap out his life force. But
I wonder if if that would work on him.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting. But
that would be an interesting experiment.
Be sneaky. Yeah, and I think last week we also mentioned the one, I think around issue 214 or 17, 18, somewhere around there, where like Dazzler, Longshot, Rogue, and Psylocke fight him. And I like that.
By the way,
too.
during his reformed days, he was on a new version of Excalibur where him and Dazzler got to be a team together. So.
Dazzler is on Excalibur too?
Yeah. It was a very weird thrown together team.
Yeah.
I think it was basically just Captain Britain was like the only person from the old Excalibur at that point.
Yeah. All right. So there's your Juggernaut.
Him and Black Tom had some good appearances in the early Deadpool limited series. Like they appear in both of the first two limited series before he ended up getting his ongoing book.
Yeah, we should mention Black Tom Cassidy, who is Sean Cassidy's evil brother, right? Banshee?
Yep. Yeah.
So you have Banshee's evil brother, Charles Xavier's evil stepbrother. They join forces, and they fight the X-Men early on in the new era of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe issues 103, 102, somewhere around there.
Yeah, like right around the original Phoenix saga.
It was before that. It was a couple years
Yeah.
after that. But yeah, Dave Cockrum was still the artist, I remember. And there's like a castle that I think it was taking place in Ireland, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think it's Cassidy Keep, like there, the ancestral home.
Yeah, Black Tom Cassidy. They were like run-in mates for a while there. Always getting into trouble.
Good buddies. I think they still are. Like I want to say that they still are pretty close.
Yeah. And,
never seen either of them with a woman.
But how dare you, She-Hulk? Put that to rest.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think I was flipping through a bunch of old X-Men back issues, and I believe there's one where Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy, they hire Arcade to kill the X-Men or do something to the X-Men. I don't know. They're always out to get those X-Men.
This is weird. Like, you're the Juggernaut. Why do you need to hire a
well, because every time he fights them, they knock his helmet off and zap his brain. What can he do, you know?
Yeah. Well, he does have a secret up his sleeve in this one. Got two helmets.
Well, yeah, he did start wearing the two helmets. The little skull cap and then the big bucket on his head. But, yeah. All right, so that's Juggernaut. Now Nimrod, first appearance, Uncanny X-Men 191 from 1984, created by Claremont and Romita Jr., and he's basically a sentinel from the future. He's a robot from the future. He's like the ultimate
advanced sentinel. Yeah. Basically from the same, like, Days of Future Past timeline that Rachel comes from.
He's from that Earth. I think it's like 818 or something weird like that. But that's the Earth he's from. So Days of Futures Past, that's Nimrod's Earth. And in that story, Rachel Summers was that's her first appearance. I think myself and a lot of people forget that. But she first appeared in Days of Future Past. She was the one who put Kitty Pryde back into the past with her brain powers. So, but anyway, in that future Earth, later on, all the X-Men get wiped out there, but Rachel Summers and Kitty Pryde, that Earth's Kitty Pryde, they go into the Sentinel plant and they try to destroy all the Nimrod Sentinels or whatever. But Kitty Pryde gets killed, and then Rachel Summers goes back into the past.
Mm-hmm. And
she ends up on our world. So instead of going into the past of her own world, she somehow jumped timelines and came into our world. And this Nimrod, because they were going to make many of them. I don't know. Maybe he was the only one at the time. I don't know. But anyway, he followed her as well, and he ended up in our world. And he didn't know, like he thought they was in the same timeline, and then it started to come together. Oh wait, I'm in a different timeline. And in issue 191,
they always tried to play fast and loose with it that could be the future of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, because I know they
saved
timeline
Senator Kelly at one point, but that could still happen. Like they were still always doing, hey, the Sentinels, people are working on the Sentinels, Project Wide Awake and whatever, all that stuff. Like they kept hinting, this could still be coming down the road.
Yeah, because those who don't
take another shot at him or something like that, just because they failed one time.
Yeah, if those who don't remember Days of Future Past, Senator Kelly, he's the guy who signs this bill to authorized sentinel production or whatever to hunt down mutants or something.
Yeah.
So in that Kitty Pryde's timeline, that'll happen. So they sent her mind back to the past to inhabit our Kitty Pryde's body, and she gets the X-Men to prevent the assassination of Senator Kelly by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Mystique was going to kill him, right? I think she was going to shoot him. Right. And so that diverted the timeline and theoretically saved the future. But yeah, they always got to keep that up their sleeve. Any second now, those Sentinels could be bang, mass production. Look out.
This could be exactly where we're heading.
But anyway, Nimrod is now in our world. And in issue 191, we first meet him. There's a guy, I believe his name is Javier Rodriguez. And I think this is actually 191 is when that evil sorcerer took over New York and everything. This was at the end of that issue. 190 and 191 was a two-parter, I think. And so at the end of that issue, we just see this, I think his name was Javier Rodriguez. I don't know. But he's just waiting for a subway, and two muggers come on him, and they're going to kill him there. And Nimrod shows up and kills the muggers to save the guy. And, Nimrod's this giant pink robot.
Yeah.
He's very, very clear that he's a robot. But this Javier fella, he befriends Nimrod. And he takes him home.
Just like Short Circuit.
Yeah, pretty much. And so then the next time we see Nimrod, he's living in this Javier's guy's house, and you see Javier talking to, I don't know if it's his uncle or somebody, and he's like, hey, I don't like that new guy you got staying here. And he's like, he's a good guy. He's a good bloke, He saved me from the muggers. He's no problem. And he goes, yeah, but he looks a little weird. And then we cut in the bedroom and we see Nimrod hunched over a computer and he's typing away. And you see his face. And he now looks like a human, but he's still a pink robot. And he's wearing like a T-shirt and he's got hair or something, but his face is still the face of a pink robot. What is going on?
I mean, he's a bulky dude. Like, he's pretty much Juggernaut size. So why did they have a T-shirt that would fit this guy?
Well, he's shrunk down. Like, he's shaped like a human now.
Oh, but he's still got that weird.
Yeah, he's not like a giant robot. Yeah, but he's got the robot head. Like, it looks more human, but it's still a pink robot head. And he's typing in the computer, and he pieces it all together that, oh yeah, I'm in a different timeline. I'm in a different Earth. But my prime directive is still the same: protect humans from mutants. So he's like, you know what? Mutants must die. And that's what gets us to this issue. This is like his first attempt to go out and start murdering mutants or apprehending mutants.
And his prime target becomes the Juggernaut, who's not even a mutant. So, I don't know. He's way off mission here.
That is a good point. Yeah, technically, you never know. Maybe he has a latent mutant gene. But yeah, technically he gets his powers from a mystical ruby.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's close enough for old Nimrod. He's not scared. But anyway. So,
he also decided that, while I'm trying to take down all the mutants, let me also get a job, because I got to be a contributing member of society.
Well, yeah, that Javier guy's a construction worker, so he's palling around Javier, and he gets him a job. Working with him. So weird.
Yeah. It's very weird. Why would he care about any of this?
But anyway, later on, we'll see Nimrod fights the X-Men here. Then he comes back, I believe, it's another good issue, 205, I think. 206? 205.
The Hellfire stuff happens?
Yeah, 205 is the classic Wolverine, Barry Windsor Smith. 206, I think, is Nimrod.
Yeah, there's like the cover of kind of the X-Men on one side and the Hellfire Club on the other side, and they're kind of, running at each other.
Yeah, you know what? The one I'm thinking, I'm messing up my numbering here. Maybe that's 204. I don't know. One of those issues is Nimrod comes back. All right. And the Hellfire Club's there, yeah. And they fight Nimrod in Central Park, I believe. And and Nightcrawler gets messed up from that, I recall. Because he tries to do what Rogue does in this issue. So Nimrod, they defeat him there.
208 is the one, I think.
208?
Yeah.
It's a two-parter, right? 208, 209. And 209 is Colossus and Nimrod on the cover, and he's fighting them, wrestling them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but then Nimrod goes away for a while, and I think, is it the next time he becomes?
The next time is after the X-Men have died and they're living in Australia, and I think Rogue at this time, she is like kind of letting Carol Danvers' personality, who's still locked inside of her, is kind of taken over, and she's kind of just using Rogue's body.
Yeah.
I think her and maybe Dazzler or Psylocke, one of them, they're out having lunch or whatever. And I think that's when, Nimrod kind of merges with Master Mold.
And Master Mold is the giant robot who makes Sentinels, right?
Yeah, from our time. So he kind of uses Nimrod to kind of upgrade himself. And, it all ends with that whole mess, the merging of those two robots, going through the Siege Perilous, that old thing that kept, everyone kept going through in that era of the X-Men.
And the Siege Perilous is some mystical portal where you go through and you're kind of like reborn. You go through. Yeah. That's how Psylocke became Asian. She went through the Siege Perilous. Yeah.
Although it turns out, they kind of retconned that later on, where it's she went through it, but then Spiral grabbed her and took her to her body shop or whatever, and she was
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And of course, Spiral is, we got to explain everything, how many arms did she have? 6? 6 arms?
6, yeah. And
she was Mojo's buddy, and she was also in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants for a while, right?
That's right. Or Freedom Force by that point, I think.
Yeah. I like when they're called Freedom
Government,
Force.
Yeah.
All right, but they merge and they go through that Siege Perilous and they become Bastion, Master Mold.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was a big, that was a big part of the 90s, kind of mid to late 90s, I would say, there was this guy called Bastion who had started a new Sentinel program, and he was really getting a lot of government support. And he seemed very mysterious and seemed like he had powers that were more than human. But he definitely hated mutants. So it's well, what is this guy then? And, so then they eventually did reveal that, this is, the Nimrod Master Mold thing. Once it went through the Siege Perilous, it was kind of reborn as a almost human, but partially robot guy. So he made a bunch of new Sentinels that were basically, he took real people and gave them cyborg attachments, but not all the time. They could shift from being completely human to cyborgs. And there was a whole crossover called Operation Zero Tolerance where they were just going after mutants hardcore.
Wow. Hey, my favorite Bastion story was when I just found out he existed when I was researching this issue. I'd never heard of him in my life. Bastion.
Yeah, he was a big deal in the 90s there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're here, Jen, because I have no concept of anything after 1987. All right.
Right there. I was oh yeah, give me more Bastion.
More Bastion. There are a couple other villains in this book, though, Jank. Did you recognize them?
The Von Struckers.
That's right, Andrea and Andreas von Strucker, the children of Baron von Strucker. Together, they're known as Fenris. Fenris, like an 80s pop synth group. Fenris. And the kids
are very cool, sunglasses, 80s sunglasses. That would make them a lot better.
And they were still in utero. They were bioengineered by Dr. Arnold Zola to have superpowers, but they're kind of like the Wonder Twins. They only work if they're touching each other. They have to be touching each other, and they can fly and shoot plasma beams. That's what they do.
Yep.
Fenris. So.
They should have probably done that in this issue, but for some reason they chose not.
They were too far apart.
Yeah.
They weren't touching. Yeah. Andreas was too busy getting handsy with the lady. And then, but we'll get there in a minute. So, All right, there's the backstory for this issue. I think we're ready now. Jank, why don't you
talk about the issue?
Yeah, why don't you describe the cover for us?
It's a pretty classic cover. I like it for the most part. We got the corner box up there with just pictures of all the X-Men's heads. Even Cyclops, even though he's not really a part of this book at the moment. Storm's also not part of the team, but she's in the book, so at least you got that.
Yeah, run down the other ones so people know what era we're here.
Yeah, we got Wolverine. We got Shadowcat in a costume that she probably only wore once because she did that a lot.
Yeah, that's still the Sprite costume.
Yeah.
Even Nimrod, I think, refers to her as Sprite in this. I don't know.
He called her Ariel, which
Ariel.
Old one. Yeah. Kitty Pryde did not know what she was doing early on, just going through a lot of phases.
Doesn't Wolverine reference the adventures he had with Kitty? So this is after
Must be right after that, yeah, because he's still talking about, like, oh, we just got back from Japan.
So it must be like right now she starts being called Shadowcat because, right? So I don't know.
Some anyway. Then we got Colossus and Nightcrawler and Rogue.
Yeah.
They're still kind of short hair at this point.
Yeah, I like this team. This is I like Rogue. Like get Cyclops out of there, and I love this team. And he's
he should
be
out there, yeah.
He is out of there.
Yeah, they should put Rachel Summers in there, but I guess she hasn't been officially made a member of the team.
Yeah, what is she? Did she first pop up? 184, somewhere around there?
Yeah, I'd say right around there.
So maybe 10 issues into her run. And,
she should be in.
Yeah, she doesn't totally become like she taps into the old Phoenix, because Rachel Summers, for those who don't remember, in that other world, she was also the daughter of Jean Grey and Cyclops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, she's always kind of worried now because she's like, oh, I'm never going to be born here because Jean Grey's dead.
Yeah,
but little does she know.
Yeah, she doesn't know how comic books work.
Won't last long.
But in issue 199, she taps into the Phoenix Force as well. So, yeah, I'm a big Rachel Summers guy. Big fan. Yeah. All right, so the cover's great. Yeah. Oh, did you describe it yet?
We never got into it. Yeah. So we got a big blue background. This is the one kind of weak part of the cover for me, is just the wasted space in the background. There's just a lot of, action lines. They could have done a little bit of background work, but other than that, it looks great. We got Nimrod. He's kind of got Juggernaut held up just with one hand. Yeah. This guy's a beast. He's holding Juggernaut up. Juggernaut's down to his skull cap. His big helmet's gone already. But Juggernaut looks defeated. Meanwhile, Nimrod's just blasting away at Rogue, or I guess it's Rogue, because it's wearing Rogue's costume and has Rogue's hair, but it's got a Nightcrawler face and steel arms and legs.
Yeah, like Colossus.
Yeah, she's been absorbing a lot of powers, it looks like.
Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah, I like this cover a lot. And
you want to open the book and find out.
Yeah. What's going on there? So we open it up and we see
also, we should mention, what kind of name is Nimrod? I mean, it sounds cool for
well,
a Nimrod's like something you yell at somebody in traffic when they're being
Well, no. Nimrod is actually, from olden days, is a famous hunter, Nimrod. So it makes perfect sense that Nimrod is hunting mutants. Yeah.
And how did it become the pejorative that we know it as?
Yes, I'm not aware of that. But yeah, originally it was a legendary hunter. So. So we open up in the first page. We don't get a traditional splash page. We get a page with 5 horizontal panels, and we see it's New York City, and we see a guy walking closer to the camera there, and we see a bunch of police stuff going on the sideline, and we see a cop here telling people, calm down. And this big fella walking towards the camera, he's enormous, and he's got hair
quite large.
And he says, hey, officer, what's the trouble? And the cop says, ain't you heard, fella? And then we turn the page. Now we get a big splash page of the cop turning saying, Juggernaut's back in town. And we just see old Juggernaut standing behind him. Now, if you're on the lookout for a Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Maybe this enormous.
Maybe the guy who is like the size of the Hulk.
Yes. And he's wearing like a Bill Cosby sweater. I don't know what's going on there. But maybe this guy. Take a look at this guy. He might be the Juggernaut. So.
I mean, do they know who the Juggernaut is at this point? Like, I'm guessing he has never been arrested and photographed without his helmet on.
Yeah, but I mean, just shape-wise, like if someone says, hey, we're looking for Bob Denver, and I walk down the street, they're going, hey, look, it's Bob Denver. No, but I mean, you're looking for Juggernaut, that guy looks like Juggernaut. So,
yeah.
But we see
the size of 3 football players combined. Yeah, it's probably him.
We see a newscast, but he is wearing the sweater and stylish khakis. So,
the Juggernaut wouldn't do that. And don't ask about where his helmet is, because
yes, same place where Christopher Walken kept that pocket watch in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, we see a newscaster on the steps there of City Hall or whatever, and he's broadcasting a report on Juggernauts in town. He gives you all the backstory on who Juggernaut is, how he's fought the Xmen and the Hulk and Spider-Man, and
recapping just all these appearances, all these recent appearances at least.
And then Juggernaut just walks away, and no one seems suspicious at all that this guy's the Juggernaut. All right, so now
These dumbasses. How do they not know I'm Juggernaut?
Cut to Xavier's mansion. And where is that again? In Westchester? Is that where it is?
Westchester.
Yeah.
Gray Malkin Lane.
There it is, Gray Malkin Lane. And we see old Nightcrawler. He's sleeping, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sleepy."
Yeah, he's the team leader, I guess, right now, currently, because Cyclops left, and then Storm lost her powers and left. So it's kind of fallen to Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he wants to do it at this point, but he ends up becoming the leader of Excalibur, so clearly he gets the bug eventually.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Leader of Excalibur, huh?
Yeah.
Because in my day of Excalibur, Captain Burton was the only guy,
Yeah. Nightcrawler was just a better leader. Took over.
Oh. All right. So, but he hears on the news, oh no, the radio's or the TV's on, and they're talking about Juggernaut, and he's like, no, I just want to go back to bed. I don't want to fight Juggernaut. Let someone else handle it. And
they really should have in this case. Yeah. Turns out, Juggernaut's not doing anything.
And we see Kitty Pryde, and she's in there with her roommate Ileana Rasputin, and they're sleeping. And Kitty phases into the alarm clock there to shut it up because she does not want to get up. They're all sleepy. Yep. And now we see Colossus in his bright yellow pajamas.
Like, what does she have an alarm for? Class, I guess? That they never seem to do.
Just like to be lazy, gotta get up. And Colossus, we see his room. He's got a bunch of weights and everything, and his art easel and his palette. Yeah. And his bright yellow pajamas.
Probably got a bunch of naked X-Men pictures in that he's been painting. He always seemed to be doing.
And here we get a lot of exposition here. Awkward exposition in Colossus's internal monologue.
Yep. You have to set up where everyone is in their life in this morning.
I wish Professor Xavier were here. There's so much I need to talk to him about. But he was summoned to Muir Isle almost the moment we returned from Cheyenne Mountain. That's something you usually say to yourself in internal monologue, reminding yourself what happened to Xavier.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't perform well against the Hellions, so I feel bad now.
Yeah, the Hellions, they were like the new mutants of the evil mutant world. And,
like he was leading them. They were like her pupils.
Yeah, they just had a big fight in issue 193. It's like a double-sized issue, I believe.
Yeah, that's where Warpath first debuted, I believe.
Yep.
Thunderbird's brother.
And I guess the X-Men, there was some sort of a debacle that happened, and the X-Men got blamed for it. But anyway, Colossus, he wants to fight Juggernaut, because he's like, the last time we fought at the bar, he got the better of me in the bar there. So, I want to go at him again. So he pops out of his pajamas. He just turns metal and boom, bursts his pajamas.
Yep.
Now, Jank, we get Rachel Summers. Why don't you catch us up on Rachel?
She's basically just sitting there, like, holding a picture of her dad, and I don't know if it's Jean or Madeline.
Yeah, it's got to be Jean, right? It's got to be.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I think it's
She's
Madeline.
like, everyone's dead. Franklin's dead. Kate's dead. Like, everyone's dead. And I'm never going to exist here because Jean Grey died years ago. So I can't be born. Sad for me. I feel like they do this every issue with her. Like, okay, get it. You have any other personality other than this?
And now we cut to Rogue in the shower. You always got to show a lady taking a shower. And she's covering up all, as best she can. And they're all here in the news.
Sugar, don't look our way. The X-Men have earned a day off.
Yeah.
We're not going to deal with this Juggernaut bullshit.
The Juggernaut do whatever he wants. And then we cut to Wolverine. He's out jogging in the snow, just in his pajamas, without any shoes on.
Barefoot. I mean, I know you're Wolverine and you can heal from this kind of thing, but why put yourself through that? That sounds awful.
He's a badass now. He studied with the samurais and stuff now, so he's pretty good. Oh yeah, see Secret Wars and Kitty Wolverine limited series. So yeah, they are just back. So Kitty is kind of a ninja now, and but he somehow, even though he's out jogging in the woods, he knows about the Juggernaut. Because did he have a radio with him? I don't know, but anyway, he just walked.
I guess he must have watched the early news. He's been up for hours, so he watched it. At probably 1 a.m.
So he goes upstairs and he's knocking on Kurt's store there, Nightcrawler, and he's like, "Hey, Elf, we got to take care of Juggernaut, you know." And
on your
like,
funny
right.
fuzzy feet.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird. A little cutesy for Wolverine talk.
And well, he's already smoking a dart, so that makes it tougher.
Yeah,
And,
that does make it cooler.
And Nightcrawler says, "All right, give me a minute. I want to shower and get ready or whatever." So now we cut to Africa, Kenya, to be exact, and we see those Von Strucker twins.
Yeah, Fenrising it up.
They're out on like some safari, and Andrea's outside with some fellas sitting at a table, and Andreas is inside, and he's getting handsy with a waitress at a little, I don't know. Wonder how many bars are just in the middle of Kenya. Just
Yeah, not a whole lot in this town, it looks like, but I bet it's just like Cheers.
Everybody knows your name.
Yep.
So, just then though, Jack, who comes in to save the day?
Well, here comes Storm, but don't get too excited. She doesn't have any powers, so you're all probably screwed if these guys try to do anything.
Well, she is packing a knife and a giant stick. So,
yeah.
And she's got like a very little clothing on. She's basically a towel belted around her waist. And then she has her head like a scarf around her head so you don't see the mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
But some of Andreas Strucker's fellows step in to say, "Hey, why don't you shut up, lady? Mind your own business." She just whacks him in the face with a big stick.
Yep.
Oh.
Bow staff in the face.
So that's pretty cool. And but then Andreas Strucker gives her a spear from behind like Roman Reigns and takes her down into the dirt. But then she elbows in the face, and Andreas Strucker pulls out a gun, and
Storm disarms her with a knife.
Yeah, whips around and throws a knife, and it goes right into her hair and pins her to the wall. She's like, "I could have killed you, lady, if I wanted." But that's what you always say when you miss. "I could have killed you if I wanted."
Yeah. I meant to do that.
Then Storm picks up one of the shotguns that the guys she hit in the face with the stick dropped, and she tells him, "You get out of here, you punks, and don't come back now, you hear?"
And then as soon as they get in the car, this is when they should hold hands and come back and just blast her with their fucking powers.
That's a good point. But they do not do that. They actually take off. And Storm's like, "Hey, they're probably going to come back, so you might want to prepare for that. I'm not going to be here." But the waitress says, "Oh, Aurora, the wind goddess, or what she call it, the wind
rider. Our prayers are answered. Like, oh, our droughts are going to end now. We're going to be able to grow crops." She's like, "Yeah, about that."
Yeah, for those who don't remember, she lost her powers because she was zapped. Wasn't it Henry Gyrich, I believe, who shot her with a gun that
Forge made.
Yeah, that Forge made. And Storm pushed Rogue out of the way, and she got zapped, and she lost her powers. And then later she met Forge, and she fell in love with Forge, and then she found out, oh, wait, Forge was the guy who designed that gun. And he works for Gyrich. So I'm believing you, Forge. And so basically, this whole time, Storm's away from the team for a good a year, probably.
At least a year, yeah, probably.
Yeah. And they would just cut to her in the issue. She's wandering through Africa trying to reclaim her spirit, and her identity. Just figure out where she is now. She has no powers. Like, who is she, So.
Yeah, that's my least favorite story in any comics is when someone loses their powers. I'm like,
but I think this is
my
pretty good, though. But here it works in the X-Men because, it's just one character, So you're not seeing every issue. But, you're just getting a little snippet of it here and there. But
like Peter Parker, and we had to spend a whole year without his powers. I'd be like, oh,
yeah, that's good.
I don't want to see him going to work every day. This is
but if you're just spending a couple pages an issue on Storm, and Storm's powers are so much connected to her and nature and, all that kind of stuff. So it really is a big thing for her. And she does end up getting her powers back eventually, but it takes a while. It takes a while.
Yeah, it's not till the Fall of the Mutants, I believe. Yeah. That's 25. Around there.
So now we cut back to Juggernaut at the bank. He's trying to get that free toaster. And they show him sitting at a desk with a bank employee, and he is enormous. He really is. Any luck finding
Nobody
the Juggernaut?
is, yeah. Huh, I wonder.
It's this guy.
This mild-mannered reporter. The size of a truck.
So Kitty and Rachel Summers are inside the bank too, and they're just keeping an eye on him. And
I guess he doesn't know them. They're new.
And Rogue and Nightcrawler up on a rooftop next to the bank, and Kitty is conversing with them and keeping them up to date. And
he's not trying to rob the place yet, so what do we do?
Like he's just
keep an eye on him.
He's just conducting business. And Nightcrawler's like, all right, well, this might work out for us. Just let him go. If he's not doing anything, cool.
Yep.
Colossus and Wolverine are in an alleyway, and Colossus again with a yellow hoodie, like a poncho or a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
He loves yellow, this Colossus.
Sure does.
Yeah.
I don't know when that started, but
then we see, we get 3 panels at the bottom of the page of, they're all in pink, and we're seeing like an overview of New York there. And it's getting closer and closer. And it's Nimrod. Bam. He shows up inside the bank. And he's like, I am Nimrod. Criminals are at large within these premises. A threat situation exists. It is my duty to deal with them. And he looks like a badass. Yeah, he's the ultimate sentinel. He has every power imaginable. He always like analyzes the situation, realizes what he needs, and he does it. He can
like adapt to anything. Basically, if you do something once, I think he'll, find a way to get around it.
Yep. And Nightcrawler found that out the hard way the next time they fight. But
oh boy.
So he identifies Cain Marko there, and Kitty and Rachel Summers. And Rachel Summers is the one he's here to get, But he doesn't seem all that interested in her, really, You think he would be like, oh, there's Rachel Summers. So I came back to get.
She also doesn't seem to know anything about him. Like, she'd never seen one of these Sentinels in her future.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about.
Kitty's like, who is this guy? How did he know about us? She's like, how should I know?
Or is she still trying to play, like, they know she's from the future, right? Or is she playing fast and loose?
Yeah. No. Yeah, she definitely told him about that.
Yeah, it seems weird that neither one recognizes the other. So Juggernaut, he tries to go at Nimrod, and Nimrod just blasts him with his energy ray, and it like melts off the Cliff Huxtable sweater and stylish khakis, and he's got his Juggernaut uniform underneath. He still doesn't have his helmet on though.
With the helmet tucked into his pants.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I just noticed that.
He would have a giant pot belly. This thing is not like one of those folding hats you get at the Waffle House. Like, this is a giant metal dome.
That's what I always thought, but maybe it is some space age. I just noticed all these years. I just noticed that helmet melt. So maybe it's like some space age material. It folds up, and then when it expands, it gets steel tough.
I wonder if this thing keeps coming off. Like, why couldn't you just give him a duffel bag? Like, you just walk around with a duffel bag full of his, his bits.
But I liked also Juggernaut. He's got these big things on his hands, like these big hands around the palms of his hands, and those have been there the whole time, even when he's at the bank filling out paperwork.
Right, giant like brass knuckle things. Boy, I wish we could find that Juggernaut guy.
Can't find him anywhere. Wow, that is crazy. His mask is tucked in his pants. Never saw that. All right, anyway. So Rachel is protecting her and Kitty with a little telekinetic force field there, but she's like, hey, I can't keep this up. So Kitty phases her down through the floor of the bank, and they end up down in the vault. And Rachel's having trouble, though, because she's sensing all the panic and fear of the people in the bank. She's having trouble keeping them out of her head. And I don't know. Kitty floats back up, and she's like, hey, I'll get them out of the bank. I'll try and calm them down or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I think she pretty much tells Rachel, like, hey, use your powers on him, calm him down, and stuff like that. Like, oh, okay. Let's just invade lots of people's minds. Cool. Good idea.
Kitty helps people get out of the bank there, and Nimrod's still shooting at Juggernaut. Juggernaut puts the helmet on now. And
I don't know why he's so intent on taking down Juggernaut when he's not immune. Like,
yeah, I guess just because he's a criminal, and Nimrod's kind of like a futuristic cop, I guess. I don't know. But,
yeah, I mean, at least in the future, they're depicted. I think like the Sentinels pretty much took over. Like, they just killed everybody at a certain point. Like, it wasn't even mutants anymore. They're just like, yeah, everyone's kind of evil. We're just going to take you all out.
So Nimrod eventually he hits him with some sort of a special laser bolt, and it shoots Juggernaut right through the side of the building. Whammo! And he goes flying.
Good sound effect.
And he ends up at a construction site with a buffoon.
Juggernaut's surprised. He's like, I thought only the Hulk could pull a stunt like that.
Nimrod hits hard. So now Nimrod flies to the construction site. Juggernaut picks up a steel I-beam to hit him with it. But what happens, Jack?
Oh, Nimrod hits it with a disintegrator beam and just, destroys it. Juggernaut's like, oh boy, glad that wasn't me.
Nimrod means business. He's trying to kill me. And Nimrod says, of course, haven't I made my intentions plain? This isn't how Nimrod talks to me. Like,
yeah, he's very flippant. Like, it's not very roboty.
Yeah. I recall him talking more robot-y, I think. But
yeah, that could just be memory playing tricks.
I think so. But I'll have to go read that at 208, 209, because those are maybe he's more robot-y in that one. But so eventually Nimrod just throws a bunch of I-beams and debris on top of Juggernaut. Mm-hmm. And he says...
very long, he just kind of throws it all away and like, that's your best shot, Buster. You're in a whole lot of trouble.
See, this is like in the internal discussion of Nimrod. This is how I usually running comparison evaluation of reference that in my memory banks. Juggernaut was struck by 1.37 kilotons of steel. He should emerge fundamentally unharmed now. And then Juggernaut busts through, and now the X-Men show up, and
Nightcrawler they're kind of in the weird position of having to like defend the Juggernaut, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Nimrod seems like the bigger threat.
And Nightcrawler, for some reason, decides to teleport him and a Colossus who is still in human form. Seems questionable. I mean, might want to turn metal by this point, but all right, whatever.
Yep. If you're fighting, you've been wanting to fight the Juggernaut and stuff, like maybe you steal up.
And for some reason, they decide to teleport like next to Nimrod or something, but Nimrod predicts where they're going to teleport, and he zaps them as soon as they materialize.
Yeah, they were not thinking. Not at all.
And then Wolverine says, hey, Rogue, fastball special. I always like the fastball special.
Yeah, it's weird seeing Rogue do it. Yeah, usually it's Colossus, but I guess Rogue will work in a pinch.
Called in Rogue from the bullpen. She came in through the fastball special. But Wolverine, he goes up, and Nimrod has a big force field there, and he can't cut through it. And it knocks him loopy. Sends him down into the ground. KOs him for a bit. But Nimrod, he has to have been doing some scouting on Juggernaut though, Jen, because what does he do?
Oh yeah, Juggernaut tries to spear him, but he kind of ducks it a little bit and gives him a karate chop right to the helmet, knocks it off, sends it flying. So Juggernaut's down to his little skull cap. He's like, my helmet, but its seal was supposed to be unbreakable. Tom promised. Black Tom, expert at metallurgy.
Why would you trust Black Tom? His name's Black Tom. He didn't get that because he's honest. The shady fella. He's going to lie to you. But, yes, now that the helmet's off, Nimrod hits him with some sort of, is it an audio thing?
Ultra high frequency sonics.
Yeah. And it's really monkeying with Juggernaut's brain there, knocking him loopy. And Kitty Pryde sneaking around behind him. She's like, oh, I can even hear it. It's bothering me.
Yeah.
And, Nimrod spins around.
Bad as Macy Gray.
Tries to kill Kitty. Kitty phases through the lightning bolt or laser bolt there. And then this part confused me as well. Because Kitty can always phase into things. And if they're electronic, she can disrupt them,
Disrupt them.
And so she's like, hey, I want to see this. Is Joker's wearing a suit of armor or something? And she's, phases into his chest. And it doesn't really bother him at all. And she goes, whoa, that's a robot. Well, if it was a robot, shouldn't it have bothered him that you did that?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's future tech and somehow he's got the power to counteract every ability, so I guess he found a way to counteract this, but yeah, it is very strange. I should have shut him down right there.
So he hits her with some different laser beam out of his chest or something, and it solidifies her, and it she's still conscious, but she has no control over her body. Like, it short-circuited her nervous system or something. So
she's kind of a drooling mess. Like, yeah, she looks like she's had, about 12 beers.
But Rogue catches her, thankfully, so she doesn't splat. And then we see Rachel Summers. She comes in and she uses her telekinetic powers to rip up a bunch of steel girders and drop them on Nimrod. And this apparently really startles Kitty Pryde there. She's like, oh my God, Rachel Summers could have killed him. Could have killed that robot.
I just tried to kill by putting my hands into its chest.
She's taken aback, though, that Rachel could be so bloodthirsty to kill a robot like that. But she summons all her strength to touch Rogue's face with her forehead. So Rogue can absorb her memories and everything in her powers so that she can learn everything that Kitty knows about Nimrod, that Nimrod is a robot.
Yeah. And Kitty's come up with a plan to fight him, but she can't tell Rogue because she can't talk right now. So she's going to give Rogue that too. And Rogue's like, oh, okay. I get it now. She find all the X-Men that are, screwing about, laying unconscious. And she goes to touch Nightcrawler and Colossus as well. She's going to grab their powers.
Yeah, she leaves Wolverine alone. She's like, I don't want to be that hairy. I don't want to be that hairy. So, she hits Colossus and Nightcrawler. So now, she's still in her Rogue costume, but she's got the steel arms and legs of Colossus, the steel body of Colossus, but a Nightcrawler face. And she didn't get the tail.
Weird. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know. This probably wasn't the best way to draw this. You probably should have had her all be steel, but kind of like a blue steel, maybe.
I don't know. I think this is pretty cool. I like it.
It's kind of weird that just certain features hit certain parts of your body. I don't know. Like her face is not steel at all. That seems very vulnerable.
So Nimrod comes out from underneath all the steel girders, and he's dragging Juggernaut with him. Juggernaut's KO'd. And Rogue teleports behind him with an I-beam and conks him over the head, bakong, over the back of the head. And keep in mind, she's now as strong as Rogue and Colossus. So
yeah, that's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's really strong. And then I guess this is Kitty's plan that she had. She grabs Nimrod's arm, and then she teleports just a portion of his body. She just teleports his arm.
Just the arm, yep.
Nightcrawler apparently did this to Magus. Was that his name? Warlock's daddy?
Yeah. Yep.
And
mechanic being, yeah.
And that's where this plan comes from. And she rips off his arm, and Nimrod starts like short circuiting and going screwy. And then she punches him right in the belly and kind of like just shatters him. Boom.
Yeah.
So Nimrod's dead, right? He's dead. No more worries.
Oh, yeah, totally defeated. We'll never see him again. Not in 208 and 209 for sure, because he's dead. But no, he just immediately puts himself back together.
Yeah, he starts reassembling himself. But I guess he is wounded enough that he's like, all right. And he just takes off. He teleports.
My break's almost over at the construction site.
I gotta get back. My foreman will never let me hear the end of it.
Yeah. He goes back. Got a wife and 2 kids to feed.
And so he just leaves and teleports away or whatever. And there's this big flash of light. He can't teleport, right? But there's a flash of light and he flies away. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I guess he does the same thing Shazam did.
Shazam,
yeah. Blind him and fly away.
Puts his body back with super friction. So, anyway, Juggernaut wakes up and he's like, all right, now you ex-bums want to fight me? And she's like, hey, we just saved your life there, buddy. Why don't you calm down? And,
even though this whole thing was our fault, I think Nimrod was just really attracted to our mutant energy signatures. So if we hadn't shown up, you would have just gone to the bank and
I was just trying to do my banking. Oh yeah, he calls them ex-chumps. That's a good one. You ex-chumps. But he just leaves, and Rogue's like, "Hey, don't say thanks or nothing, you jerk." Yeah,
this is all your fault. I'm starting to see why the public doesn't like the X-Men after this issue. It's like, yep, this all could have been avoided if you just stayed home.
So the X-Men gather up their wounded. Rogue picks up
the Morlock tunnels home.
Yeah, this is when the Morlocks were still a thing. Enjoy those Morlock tunnels while you can, kids. It's going to be a slaughterhouse in about 16 issues.
Yep.
That's Yeah, so they go back to the mansion there, and now we cut to a little epilogue here, one-page epilogue.
What an exciting way to end your issue.
I wanted to ask you about it. Guys. So basically, we're seeing Russian Nick Fury. There's a Russian agent, and he's got an eye patch just like Nick Fury, which is strange. And
yep, can't be a spy. Got both eyes. That's just science.
And these Russian guys are talking, and they're like, "Hey, the X-Men." The reports in all media depict the X-Men as criminals, aiding one of their own, Juggernaut, to escape. Their antagonist, Nimrod, is being held as a hero. I like that. I like that. It's kind of like the Spider-Man thing, you know. Like, no matter what he does, he's seen as a criminal. The X-Men are always seen as outlaws, even though they're trying to save everybody. Nimrod's a hero. And so they're basically having this discussion, and they're saying, hey, the U.S., they're turning their backs on a very powerful force here in the X-Men. Maybe us Russian folks should cozy up with the X-Men and, use this to our advantage. And this other fella, I can't remember his name. I even researched him. Oh, Colonel Vashin.
Yeah, he was definitely an ongoing character for sure. Like, Chris Claremont would bring him back from time to time. Chris Claremont loved putting in these random human characters that nobody cared about.
Yeah, this guy, his first appearance was like a Marvel team-up back in the 70s or something, was his first appearance. And then, so when I read this, I was like, wait, I don't remember them following up on this at all. And so then his next appearance isn't until like X-Men 240 or something. So it's like they did nothing with this. This little epilogue.
Yeah.
Nothing. So... But
again, this is just, it seems like one of those kind of Days of Future Past type things where it's like, oh, I feel like something bad's happening, because he ends it basically by saying, we are fast approaching a crossroads, Sasha, and I fear that somehow, somewhere, the decision has already been made to turn us irrevocably towards Armageddon. So it's just kind of like, oh, see, we could be heading towards Days of Future Past here.
Yeah, there's some big story coming on the pike, and then, but I read that and I'm like, I don't remember anything about this happening. And then, he doesn't even show up again for like another 50 issues or something. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, all right. Fair enough.
He would pop up from time to time. Like, I think when Colossus's family was all murdered in Russia, like, I'm pretty sure he was somewhere involved in that story.
But, so there it is. That's how the issue ends. I'm not sure if we need the epilogue. Could have done without that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, definitely a weird way to end the issue for sure. Didn't add a whole lot.
But overall, though, I love this. John Romita's art here is great. Claremont, the writing is clunky at times.
For sure. It's Nimrod talks kind of funny at this point. Like, stick with the real stuff, less, at the witty banter.
But I love the beginning when all the X-Men are in their mansion, they're waking up. I love that.
That is classic Claremont. Just gotta check in with everybody and see what they're up to at this point.
Just show like them being normal people, And I love that. Juggernaut just going to the bank, open up a checking account. That's awesome.
Yep.
No one can know.
His helmet in his pants.
No one recognizes the Juggernaut is walking around. It's so crazy. Nimrod showing up. Nimrod was bad.
How they knew the Juggernaut was in town but didn't know like anything about him. Like, how do you know that if he's not dressed as the Juggernaut and you can't recognize him? How did you even know he was in town? Did he put out a press release like, hey, I'm coming to the bank?
Juggernaut's coming to town. And you got to see Rachel Summers drop a bunch of high beams on him and stuff. That's cool. But yeah, Rogue absorbing their powers. That is awesome. And then teleporting away.
That is awesome.
So in issue 208 or whatever, 209, when they fight Nimrod again, the X-Men, they're having troubles with Nimrod, and Nightcrawler says, oh, I remember, I'll do what Rogue did, and I'll teleport a portion of his body. But a couple of differences. Rogue was Rogue, so she's naturally stronger, and she was also Colossus. So, like, her body could withstand that a little better. Nightcrawler
she
tries...
She does say that in this issue. She's like, if Crawler did that, he would, be knocked out for sure, or he'd be dead.
But they're getting handed, by Nightcrawler. So, like, all right, I'll try it. And it does not go well for him. I guess Nimrod anticipated it, so he does something and, like, zaps him, so Nightcrawler teleports. And he gets all messed up from it somehow. And then, the next issue, they're down in the tunnels and he gets,
massacred. He gets messed up more. Yeah.
Riptide hits him with all those ninja stars.
Yeah.
No. Riptide was Colossus. Harpoon was the one that hit Nightcrawler, right?
I think Harpoon hit Kitty, right? While she was phasing with like an energy harpoon.
You're right. I think Riptide hit Nightcrawler too. Maybe Riptide hit them both.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Harpoon hit him with that, but yeah, Harpoon hit Kitty, and then she couldn't phase out anymore. She was always phased. Yeah. But poor Nightcrawler. Rough stretch.
Yeah. At least he wasn't leading the team at that point. Storm had come back to take the reins again, even without her powers.
But I love this era and I love this issue. This is great stuff. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Like I said, I like the Juggernaut putting his helmet in his pants. That was ridiculous. When I saw that, I was like, give him a bag or a backpack or something. Or just have him like be something you can magically turn into, like, and just go from clothes to regular to Juggernaut. Like, he's got a magical gem. I'd buy that, but the fact that he stuck this thing in his, like, the hem of his pants, like, I'm not buying that.
I just can't believe like back when I was a kid and I read it, I never noticed. Last night when I read this, I never noticed. But yeah, his helmet is tucked in his pants. It's crazy. And you think you would tuck it in the back of the pants, right? Like, but he tucked it in the front of the pants. That's even weirder. All right, but anyway, yeah. So what do you think, Jack? 1 out of 10 for Uncanny X-Men 194.
It's a good question. The art is fantastic. Not my favorite issue of the X-Men, but I'll give it a solid 7.
Oh man, I love this. The writing was a little not as good as I would have liked. But I like the bits with Storm too. I like that.
Yeah, again, like non-power parts usually not for me.
I like it. So I'm going 9 on this.
Ooh, wow.
Because this is right out of my wheelhouse. My favorite era of the X-Men. All right. So I have a question about Storm though before we go, Jank. So Storm in this issue, she's in Africa, and I think in issue 196-ish, 197-ish. No, you know what? It's 196. She gets shot in the head by Andrea Zucker, whatever.
Yikes.
Yeah, she gets shot in the head because those Von Struckers, they don't let anything slide. So they find her like on their safari, and she snipes her from a distance and hits her in the head. Now it's not a clean headshot; it's just a graze or whatever, you know. And they leave her to die though in the outback or whatever, the African safari. And like at the end of issue 197, she comes to, and the buzzards are coming to kill her, and she says, you can't kill me yet. So then issue 198 is Love and Death Part 2. Yeah. And that was because Part 1 was the first time with Forge, and Barry Windsor Smith drew both of those issues. And so it's just about her in Africa recovering from the headshot and like coming to grips with who she is now that she doesn't have powers. And she, at the end, she decides, you know, I'm going to soar higher than ever, even though I don't have powers. You know, I'm going to go back and do whatever. So then issue 199 is, we mentioned earlier, with Rachel Summers tapping into the Phoenix Force. And then that same issue at the end of it, the Freedom Force, who are the Mystique and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, they arrest Magneto.
That's right.
So then issue 200 is the trial of Magneto. Oh. And then at the, so when Storm is not in issue 199, then issue 200, in the beginning of the trial of Magneto, the X-Men were actually in Asgard for their annual. And at the beginning of 200, they just materialize in Paris, whatever, and they're all wearing like Asgardian costumes and stuff. They just stuck for, so, and Storm's with them. So Storm comes back to the team during that annual, and she's like Loki's bride or what, like Loki's all in love with Storm.
Yeah.
Remember all that?
I think she temporarily gets her powers back because, she's like kind of thawed out.
Yeah, he gives her Mjolnir or whatever, a helmet or a hammer like that.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't read the issue, I just flipped through it, and I see no mention of like, no one, like she's just back on the
shot in the head.
Yeah, like how did she go from the Australian, or I keep saying Australian, African safari, like out in the wilderness there or whatever, and then she's just with them in Asgard. And then like in 200, there's no mention that, Storm's back with us. Like, it's like, what? How? What? I don't.
I'm guessing Loki just grabbed her from Africa. He was like, hey.
You think they would mention that at some point, though? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I tried to, maybe it's in there, but I flipped through it pretty good, and I didn't see any opportunities for it. And then, of course, issue 201, she fights Cyclops for the leadership of the X-Men, even though she doesn't have her powers. And she beats him.
Right.
So
that's a real big L for Cyclops right there. Like,
they have a little
Cyclops. Like, we should do that issue someday with him and be like, here's your boy Cyclops getting his ass handed to him by a lady who doesn't have powers.
They have a little duel in the danger room, and Storm sneaks around and sneaks up behind him. She uses her belt to trip him. And then when he falls, she grabs his visor and she says, all right, yeah, you're done now. You can't control your eye beams. You don't want to, you lost. And he's like, all right, I just opened my eyes and spin around. And now I won.
Yep.
So
now you're dead. It's all right.
Cyclops just accepts defeat, which seems odd. But all right. So yeah, I just wanted to see if you remembered how Storm got back with the team, but am I missing something, or
it was definitely in that annual, but I think because once they were all in Asgard, it didn't matter how they got there. They were just kind of.
But when they
grabbed them all
just pick her
from wherever they were.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's. She already kind of was used to the powers of Thor, kind of, because of the weather controlling stuff. So.
But you think this has been like a year-long storyline, a saga of her losing her powers and coming to grips with it, and then she just appears back on the team and no one mentions it. I don't know. It's strange.
Got to be like some kind of they all see each other again in that annual and hug or something.
I didn't see it because she's like brainwashed the whole time by Loki. And she doesn't really come into who she is until like the last couple pages of it. So anyway, also issue 197, Dr. Doom is involved, but I think it might just be Arcade, right? Pulling shenanigans.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
And you see Storm on the cover with the X-Men, but she is not in that issue at all, even though she's on the cover.
So much false advertising going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So I don't know. Well, she's in the issue, but not with the X. Like I think at the end is when she rises up from the buzzers or whatever. But like they show her in costume fighting the Doctor Doom or whatever. So,
looking at it right now. Yeah, she's definitely not with the team. That's for sure.
And isn't she flying as well on that cover? So she didn't even have her powers.
Yeah.
So maybe it was an arcade robot flying around. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. We'll go with that.
A lot of weird stuff there. All right, so there it is. There's your X-Men's talk for a week. All right, Jank, pick us a winner. What do you got?
Okay, well, we're not going to go back to the well this time. We're going to try another one of these random characters and see how it goes.
Oh, no.
50-50 shot here. This is a character I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with. I'm sure we both are, even though I don't think either of us have read this comic before. But he's big, he's blue. We're going to go with the Tick.
From the 80s? He was around?
Yeah. Yep. The Tick number 3, as far as I can tell, it's from 1988.
Wow, I was thinking he's a 90s guy.
Yeah. So this is an issue where he teams up with a lady ninja who is totally not Elektra.
I like
her
the
name is Oedipus. Get it?
Oh,
totally different.
But I like the Tick. He had that TV show. He had a cartoon and everything. Yeah.
Good TV shows. Yeah. And a cartoon show. Yeah.
All right. Well, this will be interesting. I've never read any Tick. So.
Me neither. I'm excited to read some. I guess it's written and drawn by the same guy. So real passion project for that guy.
Yeah. Kind of like this here podcast. So, all right. That'll be next week. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Lord knows we need the support. Good God. Anyway. All right. So until next week, don't get any jank on you.